Hey there, Saints. Pastor Dave here again with a weekly devotional for all the Saints this Wednesday. I'm going to start with another reading from Sarah Arthur's One Year Daily Grind. And this one is about the Scriptures being alive. Before one of our youth mission trips a few years ago, I shared with my prayer partner about my worries and frustrations. And I asked, would you please pray that we would have peace in our hearts? My prayer partner said something I'll never forget. She said, Sarah, I will pray for your sense of peace, but particularly, I'll pray that the kids would read the Bible verses each day and think, this is true. We're living this. We are living the Scriptures. Those words have stuck with me ever since. We are living God's story. We are living this book that we talk about in church each week and read snippets of before we go to work or class or sleep each day. Not only is Scripture alive and active in us, but we are alive and active in it. Not only do the words of Christ dwell in us, in our very hearts, as it were, but we dwell in the heart of Christ's words. We are living the truths of the Bible every day. We're given bit parts in its ongoing story until God brings all things to their final conclusion at the end of days. Saints, I thought that was a really interesting perspective. That was something different for me to think about. The words that we read, the story that we read as we come together as Christians or as we read individually is so easy to kind of consign it to a different time, to a different reality, and say, look, this is the story of the people of faith, and it was a great story. It's worth reading. It's worth learning from, but it's a story that ended maybe 2,000 years ago when the main character died and was raised again, or maybe shortly after when the Spirit came and helped form the early church and those people got together and did amazing, powerful things. But then in the interim, we don't have as direct an account of the story of the people of God as we do in the canon of Scripture. And so it's easy for us to lose sight of the fact that that story continues and has continued throughout the ages and continues to the present day, and we are still part of that story. Saints, what would it mean for you if you thought of yourself as someone who is living the story of God's people, who is a living member of the story of Scripture, a character in this story that is still being written, ongoing? I wonder if you would think about yourself in maybe a more empowered way. Maybe you've got more ability and more capability to do things that you'd never thought you had because you are still connected to God in the same way as the saints of old are. I wonder if you would think that maybe you have more responsibility to live in a certain way, to give a certain witness, because people are going to read your story, whether that story gets written down and held on to for centuries later, or if it's just the story that people see in your own life here in the present. You know, the people around you, as they watch what you do, what you say, how you live, what decisions, what choices, what values you express. Saints, I think it's a real opportunity, and it's a real interesting shift for us to consider that our lives are still part of God's story that is still being written. I hope you'll think about that this week. I hope you will have a new idea or a new perspective on who you are and where you fit, and that might inspire you to do something great for God. That's your devotional this week, and I hope it's worth thinking about. Hope you're doing well and staying healthy. I'll be praying for you, Saints. Please keep praying for me, and I'll see you again soon. Y'all take care.